See. Testing. 1 2 1 2. Microphone check. wish I could see my doggy is here. Hello. Uh-oh. Sign into chat. Okay. Let me see. I think I need to sign in here. Wait a minute. Okay, I am now signed in, ready to go. I think we're good. Hello, this is the Black Ponderer. Welcome. Hello, Nadia. Let's see. Nadia is in the chat. Welcome to live chat. Remember to guard your privacy and abide by our community guideline. Okay. Okay, YouTube. Yeah, so hello, this is the Black Ponderer. Yes, we are a philosophy YouTube channel where we talk about philosophy. We generally read texts and then, mostly philosophical texts. But sometimes we just read general texts and then we kind of discuss philosophy behind them. And, but then we also do these live streams, and the live streams are more just kind of spitballing. We're just hanging out, we're having a good time, we're just relaxing. It's not so much like a lecture or like a kind of me talking at you. It's more like a conversational wise. So it's more like, think of it as you're hanging out at a club or a bar, a lounge, nightclub. You might not necessarily. We're not on the dance floor. We're like in the back. We're in maybe where the pool table is, but kind of like to the side. We're in the back area, just chilling, talking. Maybe we're at the counter, the bar counter, and we're going to be talking about childhood books, I believe, favorite books in childhood. Yeah, and so that's kind of like. What I just mentioned, how sometimes we don't talk necessarily about philosophical books. We just talk about books and then we discuss perhaps philosophy in them. Oh, here's a book. And we're gonna do that. We're gonna just talk about some favorite childhood books. And feel free to jump in at any time if you want to talk about childhood books. But first of all, how are my fellow Americans doing? Because I hope y'all doing all right. So what happens is we talk about we're hanging out, we're having a good time, we're talking. So we could change we could go off topic from time to time. That's fine too. So if you want to talk about something else that's on your mind, feel free to do so. But I can veer it back to the original topic. Sometimes I even kind of relate to what's the tangent. I bring it back full circle to the topic that we're talking about. So if you want to talk about anything else, that's cool too, because we're just chilling, we're hanging out. So first of all, let me read the description here. Yeah, but how my Americans doing? I live in the United States of America too. We just had our election. I know that's kind of like disrupted some people's expectations, kind of messed up people's vibes. I'm with you, but we're gonna keep rolling. And if you want to talk about it, that's cool. But if not, maybe you're here to escape. That's cool too. I'll read the description here. This stream will discuss cherished books that we grew up with and perhaps left a lasting impression due to their philosophical themes. Let's discuss. So I'll bring up some some books that I liked. Let me see. I'm going to change this to live chat so I don't miss any chat, because I've done that before. Oopsie. And then, I'm going to bring up some books of my childhood that I really liked. And then if you want to bring up books from your childhood that you like, that's cool too. But if you just want to just listen, that's cool too. So cancel that. I'll bring this book in first. Let's see how this flare will be. A Wrinkle of Time. Have you ever read it? I love this book. This is a favorite, cherished childhood book of mine, A Wrinkle in Time. I love it. Let's see if I can turn that down a little on my end. Okay. This edition was actually the one. This was given to me by my wife for my anniversary present. She gave me the whole series. Let me show you. Let me show you something. And we gotta bring this up too. It's the book is part of a whole series. I don't know if you've heard of this. It's a cherished childhood book. But look. Got one. Okay. Part 2. Okay. Part 3. Damn. Part 4. This part 5. Like, did you know that? You know there were so many parts. A lot of childhood books of mine, I had no idea there was like sequels to the books. I didn't know when I read this book. I didn't know there was a sequel to it. Let me show you. First of all, we'll get to talk about what it's about in case you don't know what you're not aware of the book. But I want to show you, like, first of all, the cover of A Wrinkle of Time. So The Wrinkle of Time is about the main character has a buddy, and I think what happens is her father goes missing. The main character's name is Meg, and her small brother Charles. And I think her father goes missing, right? And then it turns out her father is taken to some alternate dimension. It's a science fiction book, and these creatures from another dimension come in and say, "Hey, we'll take you to the other dimension, and we'll show you where your father is." And so they go to this alternative dimension to save their father. I believe it's the father, right? Let's see. It's not the mother. The mother had come down to the kitchen for a minute when they were upset by the arrival of a dangerous stranger. A tesseract is a wrinkle in time. And it's a wild ride. Oh, hello, Jeremy. How's it going? And then Nadia says, a barbecue for Charlotte. Mark Tetro. When I was really little. Normalized gender diverse ways of dressing. Cool. Yeah. I guess since you're very much younger than I am, the books that I read as a kid weren't as progressive. They didn't really, that wasn't a thing. But that's cool. Let's see. Let me see. Let me just show you some cool cover art. And then you ask, can comics be considered books during childhood? Of course, certainly. Certainly. I don't know if it was intentionally progressive. Okay. I'm just on Google. Oh, I'm clipping here. Let me see if I could hide this right quick. Or can I just make this small? Let's see. Yeah, there we go. We'll do that right quick. 1999. Well, it was better than I mean, it's funny because I hear 1999 and I'm like, I was born in the 80s, the mid 80s, so To me, that's like pretty progressive. But I know the 90s were not that progressive. When is let me see when this book was written. Yeah, this book was written in 1962. But I wanted to show. So they made a movie. Oprah was in it, and Reese Witherspoon, I think. But I'm actually looking for like the old. See, that's the one I got. But some of these cover arts were very funny. The old one. Let me see. Cover book cover art. Yeah. See, I had this. This is hilarious. What the hell is this? Oh, this is New York Times, so you can't read it for free. That's whack. No. I just want the image. Open image in new window. Can I do that? Yeah. This is like cheesy ass. Look at it, a floating head. I mean, that's some cheesy ass like sci-fi. And so those are the wrinkles. It's like Pegasus with wings. I mean, I had that one in school. I didn't read that one, but I saw this in school. I mean, that just makes you want to pick. That's the villain, the guy, the floating head, and they're in the alternative dimension. See, and they're the good guys. I think they're called wrinkles. I forgot, man. I gotta read it again. But that's not the version I had. But I do remember seeing that. I'll try to find oh, this is the one I had. Yeah. This is the one I had at school. This was assigned reading at my school. Let me see. Open image. Yeah, there we go. Zoom in. Let me see. Control. Yeah. Record time. And yeah, so it's these Pegasus creatures. And the kids, Meg and Charles. And I don't know what the other kid. I guess maybe the other person is the dad. I'm not sure. I gotta read it again. Anyway, I just wanted to show you some funny ass classic art that just makes you wanna. Okay, let's go back to my video. Boom. All right. How can you create timestamps during live? I don't know. I don't know how to do that. So the Wrinkle in Time talks about fascism. Really? I don't remember that. But it's been a while. Very interesting. I want to read it. How many of your childhood books do you still have in your possession? None. Because my books I read were school books. So you had to, when you finish reading them, you got to turn them back in. So I kept none of them. But you can always buy them again. The problem is I try to look for the old editions, but it's hard to find those. So you gotta eBay them. You read Smurfs? Oh, so you're really just a comic book person. Garfield. Yeah, I like Garfield. Smurfs is like I think Smurfs were originally French, right? They're French comic books. Garfield was awesome. That was a periodical. Sundays. I don't know Kid Paddle. I'm not familiar with that. Asterix. Yeah, I don't know that, but that's cool. Okay, so going back to Rico and Ty, we'll discuss other books. Right. Going back to Rico and Ty, right? Rico and Ty was cool because first of all, I had a little girl main character, which was cool. And she was very capable, and she had a little brother, Charles Wallace. I remember that character, who was this little boy who was really smart and wise. And what was cool is that they went to this alternate dimension using those Pegasus people. I believe they're called wrinkles, but I'm not sure. These people, there's 3 of them. And they took them to the alternate universe. And so what was cool about it is they talked a lot about like higher dimension science, and they talked about like dimensionality, which was kind of cool. So it was kind of science. It had some science fiction in there. It wasn't like this book is banned in some places because they say it's magical, but it's really not magical. It's more science fiction. uh, and like there's a part where they go into the other dimension, and they convert into like two-dimensional space, and the description about that is crazy because the main character starts feeling all flat, and the main character feels like their organs are like moving like scissors. It talks about it describes it that way, and I remember reading it and I'm like, whoa. Like everything becomes flat before they go back to the original world. There's actually some pictures in here. Let me show you if I can find them. I know, of course, no spoilers. I won't spoil anything. Oh, yeah, here it is. Can you see? Yeah, like they describe dimensionality. Right? A straight line. And then they're basically describing like a traveling through space, like a wormhole or something like that, where you would what's the fastest distance between 2 points is a straight line, but if you collapse a line, you can make it quicker. And then they start going into like, okay, there's two-dimensional space and there's three-dimensional space. Right, I think that's about it, which is pretty cool. I think that this was the book that I first started thinking about like space and dimensionality, which is pretty cool. So there's a lot of science in this book, I thought. I guess because Nadia mentioned fascism, I guess there was some, that's more the bad guy who was probably into that. I didn't catch that as a little kid. So that's cool. I mean, but that's cool that they had it. But yeah, that's the first book I'll bring up. I won't say too much more because, just in case you want to read it. But it's cool. It's like they go into a different world and they try to save their daddy. I think that's what it is. And when they do that, some really cool stuff happens. So let's see what else is in the chat is going on here. What's your stance on buying books versus relying on the library when possible? They're both good. It's do you? I love I'll buy books and I'm a bibliophile. Like I own books. Like I'm one of those people who likes having books. Some people don't. Some people just they like their digital ebooks, but I love owning books. So I think buying books is awesome. I know books can be very expensive. So, and hey, but you could always buy used books for cheap, right? But I'm not opposed to buying new books either. I'll buy some new books. I'll spend the money, but you can always buy the old books. You can thrift books. You can go to used bookstores. Even my library has a bookstore that you can buy. But yeah, I also go to the library all the time too. So I'm down for both. Yeah, libraries are great because some books I don't want to buy. Like when I did the video about Jordan Peterson's something rules for life. I forgot how many. But I was like, yeah, there's no way in hell I'm buying that book. But it was at the library, so I checked it out. I think it's good to check out books that you have no intention of buying or supporting, but you still want to get the information. So that's cool. Do you often buy? But yep. I read the Twilight series and Vampire Diaries. Yeah, you're about that age. You're about that age. That whole thing, that whole vampire craze. I was already like too old. When was it? I was like 20s. And I don't even, I was like mid-20s maybe. Yeah, maybe like early to mid-20s. I think I missed that boat. I wasn't like a teenager, so I was kind of past that phase. So, and then Harry Potter. Harry Potter's a little older than Twilight. I think I just missed that boat too. I do remember some of my friends were reading the first book that came out. I'll never forget when I was yeah, I think I was like a sophomore in high school. Some of my friends were reading the book just came out, like the Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, I think. And I was like, "What do you read?" They're like, "Oh, this is a book about this wizard." The first came out, but that was a sophomore, so I was what, 14, 15 years old. So I missed it. Hunger Games, I missed that whole thing too. Very popular mainstreams. Too bad. Aren't those books like? Don't they have some quality to them? Aren't they? We'll talk about other books like Hunger Games. Like, I wonder. 30 years from now, will kids be assigned Hunger Games? Like kids are assigned A Wrinkle in Time, but maybe schools don't read this book anymore. Maybe they do read Harry Potter. I don't know. That's too bad. Twilight is such a problematic series. I don't know what good themes there is. Yeah, many classic books are problematic though. So I don't know. But yeah. Yeah, Twilight's pretty problematic. Well, yeah, that's true. In terms of the relationship and the guy's kind of, the vampire is kind of a predator to me. Or, he's a little stalker-ish. I actually I haven't watched the movie. I haven't read the book. I've seen like parts of the movie. But what I saw was like, eh. But, back in the 90s, for instance, like that kind of behavior was considered very romantic, but apparently like in the 2010s it was considered romantic too because it was very pop. But now you look at that stuff and you're like, ugh, that guy's a stalker. Love the visual depictions of the Wrinkle in Time. Yeah, I guess just thinking about consumerist culture and whether buying books contributes to that. I also love books. I usually take books out of the library, and then if I really love them, then I buy them. That's basically what I do. Yeah, so I'm kind of not a minimalist about, I think, it depends. I think people could do, I think sometimes people could take that a little too extreme with the whole, like, I'm not going to buy anything anytime. Like, it's okay to, you just don't want to, like, well, first of all, you don't want to break your bank or get into debt. But, you can still, like, not get into debt and have too much shit, right? Too much material crap. That's true. But, I think it's okay to, like, buy things that you like. As long as you don't, like, as long as the things, you're not buying the thing just to have it. Rather, you're buying it because it gives you, it derives some sense of joy. I think that there's good in that. Of course, don't take it too far, but yeah, I tend not to be like one of those extremists when it comes to like, people who just have nothing. You see these minimalist YouTubers. And I'm like, okay, that's a little too far. But, at the same time, if that's what makes you happy, that's cool. And then I see Pi. Hello, Pi. I remember watching Flight of the Navigator as a kid. Oh. I think that's the one. I'm surprised there has not been a remake or reboot of that film. Yeah, I think I remember that movie where that's the one where the kids they meet some aliens, and then the kids are like, hey, why don't you come on Earth and meet all the other humans? And the aliens are like, they show a bunch of media and they're like, you know, based off of your movies and your television shows, like, you would destroy us. Just for flight of that's what I remember about that movie. I'm just trying to verify if that's what I'm. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. Yep, that's the one. I remember that movie. Yeah, that was a cool movie. Oh, it's a Disney film? I didn't know that. Crazy. That now you're bringing me back. You're back to the past. That's awesome. I think buying intentionally in quality is good. I want to read Harry Potter books for the first time and rewatch the movies. Yeah, but J.K. Rowling sucks. Well, how do you feel about that? You know, some people are like, I'm gonna stay clear from Harry Potter because J.K. Rowling sucks. Unfortunately, I don't have that problem because I'm not really into Harry Potter like that. So that's like a problem I don't struggle with. But, you know, I think I respect. I think if you're a person who's like, yeah, I'm not going to touch Harry Potter with a 10-foot pole because of J.K. Rowling, I respect that. I'm like, okay. It's kind of like, sorry, I might have to switch to my other camera if it keeps doing that. It's kind of like people who talk about, you know, Michael Jackson is like, look, man, he sleeps with kids allegedly, and I'm not down with that, so I'm not gonna listen to his music. I'm like, I respect that. I mean, you know, it hasn't been proven, but I respect that. I mean, but he did kind of. So I respect that, but am I still gonna listen to Mike? Yes. So I don't know. And then I also I'm down with people who are like, yeah, I don't like the person, but I still like Harry Potter. So shit, you know. And then you could take that many ways. You could be like, I just bootleg Harry Potter stuff. I check it out at the library. I bootleg it, the movies. I don't pay for it, so it's cool. It is like, okay, that's a way to deal with it. But others are like, shit, I'll buy it. I don't care. It's like, well, yeah. To each their own. MJ is innocent. But he's innocent. But we don't really know, though. That's the problem. We don't know. It's kind of a thing you don't want to talk about, huh? We don't know. Probably, but we don't. We gotta always listen to the victim. You know? Let's see. Buying books can be a form of cultural accumulation. You want to be perceived as culture to impress people. Yep. I mean, that's a thing that some people do. They're like, look at my book collection. Aren't I cool? I'm well read. Yep. People do that. I would, you know, I'm the type of, you know, I would say, you know, that doesn't really impress me. But, you know, if somebody's just doing it just for that, I'm like, well, that's you, bruh. I'm not judging you, but yeah, I wouldn't. But I don't collect books to like showcase that I'm well read. I do it because it, you know, makes me happy. I want to have a personal library of cool stuff, of books that I like. I like having a personal library. Like, yeah, and that gives me joy. Who cares what people think, you know? So there's that. Let's see. I was already pretty over Harry Potter anyway. It's not that big issue for me. It just sucks anyway that she is like that. Yeah. And, you know, it's sad because she doubled down. Whereas people gave her a chance. They're like, oh, you don't really mean that, right? Or what you're saying is really hurtful. And she's like, I don't care. That's how I feel. Like, they're not, trans people are not real women. I'm like, damn, you're really like, you're not budging on this, are you? Like, that's the sad part. It's like, damn. You could maybe like be a little bit more open-minded, but she's like, I will not budge on this issue. So, it's too bad. Just recently started reading the original Conan the Barbarian. Hello, of 8th grad. Okay, reading the Conan Barbarian. Grew up watching the 80s Conan movie with Arnold. Oh, so you're older. You're an older person. What's up? How's it going? I think you're like, what, Generation X? Probably, if you're growing up with the Conan. Or maybe you're young and you just was watching them later. That's cool too. But if you're appreciating Conan movies, you're probably OG. Yeah, I remember watching those movies. They've been out for like a while. I had the VHS tapes from my mama, and she always liked wasn't it Grace Jones? Grace Jones, the black tall lady in the Conan. I thought she was always cool. I hate the transphobia of the author, but I don't want to miss out on this experience. Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, I guess the experience completely, like, I just completely missed the experience. Before that was even a thing with the transphobia. I just never got that Harry Potter magical vibe. I never was swept up into that. So I that's something I never, nor do I want to. That's another generation of people, which is, everybody has their, like Conan the Barbarian. That's like the whole sword and sorcery thing that was big in the 80s. That a whole generation is a He-Man and Masters of the Universe and like all that stuff. That's a whole generation of people, I'm like the Ninja Turtles generation. The whole like Teenage Mutant Ninja, like Power Rangers and all that shit. That was my childhood. So I'm cool with missing that experience. What's going on here? I definitely won't be buying any Harry Potter stuff. I suggest streaming it for free or taking it out from the library. Yeah. Cool. It's already proven that the families lied, but whatever. Yeah, the families lied. Yep. Yeah. It's just all up in the air. Personal libraries with all of your favorite works are so nice to have, to easily reference stuff that have impacted you. Yeah. And then you could it's kind of a thing you can have with your family too. Like a lot of, because my mom and grandma had a bunch of books on their shelves that they shared with me. So like your relatives, your youngins from the future, they can look at your books that you have, and they could you give them a chance. I just remember that. I remember as a little kid seeing all these books on the shelf that were from my mom and my grandma, and that gave me a lot of joy. So this kind of like you could pass it down, which is kind of nice. That's another kind of cool thing about keeping books on shelves, because your future generations and stuff could appreciate it, or maybe you'll have guests and they'll be like, hey, what's this book? You could, it's a good discussion point. You can like loan books out to friends and family. You could talk about them. That's another cool thing about libraries, personal libraries. Oh, you're a Zoomer. Cool. So you youngster. You just your dad liked watch this stuff. That's cool. Yeah, a lot of Zoomers are like Conan the Barber. That's old. Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's old. I like John Cena. John Cena. He's the real tough man. The Rock. People don't like old school buff stuff anymore. So that's cool. See, you're a person of culture. I don't know. Some people don't have the ability to have personal library or choose not to, but are still intelligent. Yep, that's true. Personal libraries are luxuries. They are. I consider myself very blessed and fortunate to be able to have one. But yeah, not everybody has one, and you can be just as smart and intelligent, and you can have a personal library on your Kindle, on your electronic reader device, and that's cool too. Or your personal library could be the public library. You just go there. So there's that. I have a personal library, and I don't consider myself to be sophisticated, intelligent. So there's that. What is it that you don't see yourself as intelligent? Oh, okay, so now that's a discussion that y'all have, which is cool. Too hard. All right, so let me show you the other book. This is a Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. This is a book that I read as a kid by C.S. Lewis. Another adventure book. They open a door and enter a world. It's literally like it's a doorway in their like closet. It's like they open their closet as a door to like a fantasy world. That's just so awesome. Now, admittedly, this is a pretty whack cover. Is this the movie cover? No. I mean, that's about as whack as it gets. I'm sorry. This is actually a library copy because I don't have one. Let me see if I can find an old school cover that I had as a kid. Lion. Now, they say like. And I didn't catch this as a kid. Apparently, like, the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is an allegory for, like, Jesus. The life of Jesus. Like, the lion is supposed to represent Jesus. I never caught that as a kid. I was just captivated by the fantasy world. And, I grew up in the church. I was raised Christian. And I just completely missed that. Let's see, book. But apparently that was the whole point of the book. And C.S. Lewis is a theologian. I've actually done videos on his theological work. But when I was a kid, all I knew was the Chronicles of Narnia. Where is the old cover? I'm not going to find it, am I? Oh, here it is. Was this it? I guess so. Okay, they're giving me all these ads. Open, image, and new. Yeah. Boom. Wait, what? I didn't grab the correct one. Okay, grab that one. Okay, there we go. And just move this right over here right quick. See, that's the cover I had as a kid. It's like, you see, it's a doorway. They open their closet. They're like, what the hell? I was just so, like, as a kid, I was just like, damn, they really just opened their closet and it's this whole fantasy world that they just entered. That alone was just extremely captivating to me. Goosebumps. Okay, so let me see here. I never read it, but I watched the movies. I watched the original. Like, I watched that movie for the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and it wasn't really that good. It wasn't that good. I think I don't think they finished doing the series because it wasn't that good. I think they were kind of trying to ride the Harry Potter wave, but it wasn't happening. No, it was Lord of the Rings. They're trying to ride the Lord of the Rings wave, but it just wasn't happening. And then, did you take them out of the library for this YouTube video? I checked out those two, but I have some. Okay, there's a few more from the library, but there's some I own personally that I'll show you. And then, do you take them? And then, I think all children should read books. Books are precious. Yeah, I think that all children should definitely have the opportunity to read a book. So that was one of the covers. And then Joan Rico. I probably mispronounced. Sorry. Hello, hey man, weird question. Are you still working on Eternal Dragon? Yep, still working on that video game. I work on it every other day. Still like chipping away at it. Eventually it's coming out. Hopefully I can release that game sometime next year. Maybe like the summer of next year, I'm thinking. That would be nice. But I'm still working on it because I'm doing so much other stuff. But yeah, that's cool. That's cool that you're aware of that. I must have shared it somewhere or some other time. I don't know. But still working on that. Goosebumps. I read so many Goosebumps books. Yep, Goosebumps was a thing. And Ghost Stories. Publication dates. Yeah, no, it's funny you mentioned that. Because we'll talk about it. I've talked about this book in another live stream, but I do have scary stories to tell. Now, this was also a beloved childhood book of mine. But we'll go to that later. We'll go to that one later. Yep, I'm creating a video game. One of these days is gonna come out. It's got a website, but the website is very old, and I haven't updated it because I don't really know when is it still alive. Oh, looks like it's not. Really, it's not. That's weird. Looks like this domain isn't connected yet. Really? Okay. Looks like the website's down. Let me see. Oh, okay, it's down. All right. The website's not up. It's fine because it hasn't been. I haven't updated it in years, so I guess they're probably like, "Hey, man, you need to like update this, or we gotta take it down." That's funny. But yep, I'm working on the video game, and hopefully one day. Been following it since I believe 2015. Wow. So it's literally 10 years, and I'm pretty sure I've worked on it way before 2015. So I've been working on it a while. It's just like, I haven't been dedicated. I haven't worked on it like on the regular. It's always like on and off. One of these days because my ultimate dream in life, when I was a little kid, I wanted to be a game developer. That was my goal. But then, other priorities came in, and then I, had some reprioritizations in my life, and I'm like, and then I actually worked in the game industry for a while, and I found out the game industry kind of sucks. It's pretty, game industry is actually pretty shitty, so that turned me off. Right? But yeah, okay, bye. One of these days, you'll be the first to know. Y'all be the first to know when it comes out. And then, let's see. Yeah, I think we talked about scary stories. Yeah, we did. Well, I was talking my live stream about goth culture. Is it? It is. Was in it yesterday. Oh, you were? So it just came down. Okay, I don't know what the hell is going on then. Yeah, I don't know. Beats me. But, you know, honestly, like, I'm not mad that it's down because it's such an old ass website. Follow one of the artists. Cool. That's a long time ago. I wish during my childhood I read typical word only books. Yeah, those books. There's some good children's books. But making up for it now. Yeah, I was fortunate to read lots of books as a little kid, and that really kind of formed my love of reading. In my opinion, it seems that children who read books would live enriching and fulfilling lives. Yeah, probably. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of children who read books who have horrible lives. But books in general, like they definitely help. Books are great. They help build your imagination. They help you. I was going to say like they help build critical thinking and analytical thinking, but actually, I know lots of people who read books who are not analytical at all. I guess they read like smut or like which smut is cool. I'm not saying I'm not dissing smut, but there's a lot of books out there that are like not they don't require lots of thinking. That's by design, which is not bad, but reading on its own necessarily doesn't it doesn't make enriching or fulfilling, on its own. But I love reading. Yeah, even smuts are cool. Yeah. Never mind. And people can read later in life too if they didn't get a chance to in childhood. Yeah, certainly. But to go back to that, where was I? Man, where did I go? Wait a minute. Okay, wait a minute. Let's go back here. Yeah, I just wanted to show you, like, at the time, but y'all know, at the time, I didn't know The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe was a series. I had no idea. And I just thought it was a one-shot book. As a kid, I remember I read it as a kid. Okay, let me make this small again. Okay, that didn't work. Make this small. Yeah, this is not a good movie. I remember I was watching it like, that ain't the business. Yeah, I had no idea it was a series. And it isn't even the first book. Oh, I can't make it big. But y'all know it's a whole series of books. The Boy and His Horse. And The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is like number 2. It's the second book of the series. I remember I went to the library as a kid and I saw like the series and I was blown away. I was like, what? Nobody told me there was more than one. Like I was like, what the hell? So I immediately checked it out. I was so happy. I was like, whoa, there's like 5 other books part of this adventure. Hell yeah. I was surprised. I remember, I'll never forget that day. I still remember that day when I was like, whoa, there's like more than one book. It's a whole adventure series. I was like, damn. That's one of the cool things about libraries. You just find stuff. But there was a lot of books like that where I'm like, I thought they were just one shots, and then it turns out there's like 5 different books in this. And A Wrinkle of Time is like that. I was like, oh, okay. And then Joan Rico says, I definitely wish I'd read more books as a child. I was raised around a culture that heavily discouraged things like Harry Potter or even Narnia. As you mentioned, not everyone knows it's an allegory. Oh, because it was like a religious family where it's like it has witchcraft. Can't read stuff with witchcraft in it. Books are supposed to be subjective. Okay. I wasn't even aware that there was any other TV medium after the first movie. It's what? I know, that's what I was like. What? So of course I checked out the books. I was like, let me continue the story. Some books are supposed to be subjective and some are not. Some are objective, like nonfiction, like science books and stuff. Science books are subjective, right? I mean, lots of science books are objective. For example, now this isn't in a book. Okay, I got to remove my address. Because you're not supposed to show your address on the internet. Apparently. I mean, of course you're not. Honestly, I think I'm fine. Now, if I was, a woman, that might be more of an issue. But as a guy. But I have Science Magazine. This is very objective. I got a subscription to that. I guess that's not a book, though. Okay, so let's go back here. Book of Records. Oh, that's too bad. Where did you grow up? Okay. There was no libraries where I grew up either. Yep. No, that's some places there are no libraries, and that's too bad. Because libraries are a great thing, great community center. Hold up, no, Jeremy, not everybody knows everything. No, you didn't know that. Nah, I didn't know. Here's another book series I didn't know. The Flare. Yeah, I knew that was going to happen. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Although this is Charlie in the Glass Elevator. Because, they didn't have Charlie and the Chocolate Factory in the library because it was all checked out. So, I guess, that's a very popular book. It's a very popular book. They didn't have it in the library. I don't own that book. But Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So that was another book. I didn't realize, there's a sequel called Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator? Are you kidding me? Of course I'm going to continue reading. Come on. I love Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Now, that's a bit of it can be a bit of a problematic. There are some issues, like some books, with the Oompa Loompas. I've heard the Oompa Loompas it's kind of a racist thing, but apparently, and I know the author, I know his last name is Dahl. He has some problematic opinions about things, I've heard, but I think, but still, that story, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, that was such a cool story. About this poor ass kid that gets a golden ticket to visit this magical, wondrous factory. I mean, it just was so just fantastical. and then they had all these other characters that had their little issues, and it was kind of each kid let their vice get the better of them, and so they were eliminated from like the tour. And then it was just like, so that was kind of like morals to these stories. Is there are like little lessons in there, but I just like the fantasy element of it. So I really enjoyed that as a kid, and just the idea of like this super poor kid getting the chance of a lifetime was that. I think that drew a lot of people to the story, because it's like, you always hope that like someday you can have your big break. And I think it's kind of those kinds of things that stories have, that you could kind of like, you like seeing that kind of stuff, I guess, underdog but tale type of stuff. And then what's going on? A small Christian church inside town in Puerto Rico. Okay. I had no idea. Yeah, the library showed me that. Charlie and the Glass. I was like, there's a sequel to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. They never made a movie out of it. But it's actually, the story isn't bad either. It's actually pretty full. It's pretty cool, I thought, when I read it. I mean, it's not as good as Charlie and Chocolate Factory, but it's not bad. Not bad, I thought, because it continues with his uncle Charlie. I think it's his uncle, right? That he goes in the factory with him, as his, because each kid has like their guardian, their parent or their relative. I think one of them has like a butler or something. And and I thought that Charlie's uncle, I think that who it is, not his dad, but I think it's his uncle or something, or his grandpa. He's a cool character too. He's good, and he continues on in that sequel. I think that was pretty cool. Okay, then y'all talking about. I only learned about the glass elevator. Suddenly, the elevator in Johnny Depp movie makes sense. I know, right? Yeah, there's a glass elevator in the original book, but the sequel is all about that glass elevator. And there's also an old school movie as well of Charlie. There's an old school film which is also very good. I think it's pretty cool. Which they go up on this glass elevator too. But the sequel focuses on that. I wasn't really a fan of the Johnny Depp movie. I thought it was. I thought it didn't capture the spirit of the story, because the story was very wondrous and fantastical. I believe the Johnny Depp one was Tim Burton that did that one, and Tim Burton, he has his own flavor where he kind of focuses more on the macabre and like kind of the gothic. And they tried to make it work with his vision, but I didn't. I thought it wasn't like, it didn't feel like Charlie. First of all, they shifted the focus away from Charlie. It was more about Willy Wonka, and I don't know what's the guy that played Willy Wonka in the old one, Gene, whoever his name is. He did a great job. I'll never forget the scene in the movie, the old school movie, where Willy Wonka, they're like riding on a ferry. It just gets all like super psychedelic, like really borderline disturbing. I remember watching that as a kid, and I was just like, "Whoa, this is such a cool scene." That really captured the wonder of Willy Wonka. What's going on here? Okay, actually, yeah, my attention was on TV and computers. So, okay, cool. All right, let's move away from books that I checked out at the library. Although the Ring of Time, that's my book. Another book that I really liked as a child was this book right here. It's Mrs. Frisby and the Rats of Nim. And this was like got to be one of my all-time favorite kid stories. I love this story so much. And they did make a movie out of it called The Secret of NIMH, I think. I think they were not able to use Miss Frisbee because Frisbee is a trademark of the Frisbee toy. So they're like, nah, you can't use that name. That's trademark. So they called it The Secret of NIMH. Have you seen it? Are you aware? Let me see. Let me bring it up. Yeah. That's funny that they actually have the book. Well, finally I can. No, I want the big one. Open image, a new tab. Thank you. Okay. Give me my camera. There we go. Okay. Can I just drag it? Yeah. See, this is what I had. This is the one I had at school. And this was like, this is captivating. And then in the book, they had stills from the animated movie. I'd never seen the animated movie. I just saw these stills from the animated movie. And it was just so imaginative. I just was so captivated by this shit. I didn't realize it was based on that. I guess the real secret is the name. Yeah, that's why they had to change the name. Because the Frisbee company was like, nah, can't. But anyway, this story is about a mama rat and her litter or her kids. Here they are, right here, right. We'll be right back. That's her kids. And one of the kids gets really sick. Oh, so there's that. So one of the kids gets really sick. Timothy, right? And then the other thing is like their house that they're living in, which is like some log or something. It's on top of this lake or something. Like it is on a farm, and the farm's going to be like bulldozed over or something like that, or like something is wiping. They only got a limited time in this house before they got to move, or they're going to get like some natural disaster is going to destroy them. I forgot what it was, but they got to get the hell out the house. But they only got a limited time to do it. But she's got to get this medicine for her kid, and so she goes on this adventure as her mama to get the kid. And she got to overcome all these obstacles. Right? She got to deal with this owl that's crazy. You got to deal with this person, this rat thing. You meet some magical rat. And so the movie gives it a little bit more mysticism, whereas the original book is more science, like sci-fi. It's a more science-based. Like there's like magic in the original book, but really the magic is just science, right? As opposed to like the cartoon animation makes it kind of more magical. But there's this. But she goes on this crazy ass adventure. The husband is passed away. He's gone. He died doing something. He's dead. And so she's got to do it on her own. And but the legacy of her husband, she's kind of wrapped up in that. Right? It's just this really crazy story of overcoming obstacles for your family. I think it is a great story. It's a great story. I thought, just going all over the place. She eventually befriends a crow, which I showed, and she starts riding the crow. Do they have pictures in here? Yeah, they do. Yeah, she talks to some owl. Got to deal with this owl enemy. Like, I think she has to at one point fight a cat, which is like, or she has to deal with some. Let me see if I probably won't be able to find it, but I think, oh, okay, that's something else. Yeah, she gets captured at one point. Oh, she got to deal with this kitty cat. I think the kitty cat's name is Dragon. And she has to, as a mouse, she has to like deal with this cat. Yeah, how the hell does that happen? And she gets captured. There's a picture of her in the cage. Like, how the hell is she gonna get out the cage? I mean, it's a whole crazy ass. And she overcomes extreme obstacles, right? To like save her family, and it's just over the top. I mean, it's very exciting, and it's like riveting, but it has these cool characters. It's just a great action adventure child story, right? Again, the main character, a lady, right, which is pretty cool. Doing it for her fam. So that's one. And another story I read as a little kid that I really liked is now this is my copy, Charlotte's Web, baby. Charlotte's Web has some really deep philosophy in it. It's a highly philosophical book. Actually, I'm gonna one day make a video of this one because it has a really deep philosophy, particularly Charlotte, the spider. Charlotte just drops so many dimes, just some knowledge drops. It's just like it's kind of over. It's pretty deep. I remember I read it as a kid. A lot of it kind of went over my head because it's one of those stories that really like respects the child. It's one of those because a lot of children media now is dumbed down because they assume like kids they're not able to think about complicated issues, but the author E.B. White was like, nah, kids can deal with that. Kids can think things through. They could think about complicated issues about like complicated family dynamics, politics, moral issues, grief. I mean, the book has it all. It's really cool. It also has a cartoon. I remember seeing it, which is fine. It's fine. I thought the cartoon, even when I was watching it as a kid, I was like, the animation is not, it's not the best. And they kind of like dumbed it down a little bit, I thought, because they're like, kids, they're not that smart. But yeah, this book is, I really appreciate when authors do that. They're like, nah, we're gonna show you, we're gonna talk about a lot of deep topics, and you're gonna have to deal with that. That's Charlotte's Web, baby. Which I think the reason why it became so popular, because it was like, damn, okay, it's a kid's book, but you're talking about this kind of stuff, okay. But she did it in a way that was palatable to children, but it didn't dumb it down. But it wasn't like overly complicated, but it was still like really deep stuff, right? I love Charlotte's Web. It's great. But yeah, I'm gonna definitely do a video about this book one day. It'll be awesome. I forgot to take the book off my shelf. There's another book that I read. It's on my shelf, but I don't have it on me right now, so we're just gonna internet research. Gotta Google this one. Let's see. I mean, this is the one I got. Although, admittedly, okay, I keep dragging the wrong window. Is this the one? Yeah. Yeah, that's the cover I got. But, admittedly, that's kind of like not that interesting. See, that's a cool looking one. Watership Down. I read this as a kid, and this one kind of blew my mind. this is one of those mind fuck kind of stories, because it's written kind of it's written crazily. I would say it's like, honestly, it's one of those kinds of like mind fuck stories. I'll be honest, which I think like a lot of people who, I mean, there's a lot to talk about with this one. It's kind of like when, I remember we talked about, we had a stream about Neo Genesis Evangelion, which is one of those animes that like intentionally tries to fuck with your mind. And this story, which is a kid's story, it's for kids, it's intentionally trying to like fuck with your mind. Right? Because there's like, first of all, they speak, they have their own language, and they use like these jargon words. And this is a kid's book too, so this is another book where it's like, no, I think kids can handle this. The kids can handle it. And then also the animals have their own religion, and they have their own gods, and so there's these references to these animal gods. So the story is about a rabbit. I forgot the names. I really do. But they kind of have these like over the top, like, mythological names. And I think one of the characters has like a vision. He literally has like a prophetic vision, where he visualizes, our homeland's gonna be destroyed, so we gotta cut out, we gotta leave. And they're like, why? Because our God is telling us to do that. So and not everybody believes him, so they kind of go on this. They a group of them kind of leave to like verify it, and they realize, oh shit, this is actually happening, so we need to jet. But the problem is some of these animals don't get along with some of the other animals, so they do a lot of fighting and combating. At the same time, like the farmland is about to be destroyed, the Watership. It's called Watership Down, the area. And it's cool because each chapter kind of starts off with like this. It's kind of like reading. It starts off like these verses, like it kind of reminiscent of like Bible verses, but it's made up. Right? It like references gods from their religion, their animal religion. I mean, it gets very like heady, and I know people I've talked to like that they didn't like this book as a kid. They're like, yeah, couldn't really get into this book because it does get a little cerebral. And then that is popular. The movie, they made a movie out of it, which was traumatized a lot of people. Although I would say like the thing about the movie is like the animation, like the old school movie, because I think they had several animated adaptations for this. The old school movie, like the animation is actually not really that good. It's actually it's kind of bad actually, to be honest. But it's pretty graphic. Apparently, like the animators of that movie, what they did is they went they went into nature, like actual nature, and they witnessed rabbits and like rodents like fighting each other. They would just sit down and just watch it, like rabbits and like other various rodents like attacking each other, right, and fighting each other. And they studied that and they like sketched it out. And so a lot of the battle scenes in the movie are based off of real fight scenes that they saw animals doing to each other, which is why the movie it traumatized a lot of children. Apparently, I think the thing is like that movie is very old. I think it came out in the 80s. So like when I saw it, my kid, because by that time there was a lot of like violent media already out. Like I grew up in the 90s, right? So there was a lot of already violent. So to me, it was pretty tame. It's kind of like when I saw The Exorcist as a kid. for the first time, because apparently like The Exorcist, like that original 80s movie, was pretty like graphic and people couldn't watch it. But you know, nowadays you look at The Exorcist and you just kind of laugh. It's like it's kind of a joke because you know, it's kind of you know, it's pretty tame by our standards, by today's. You know, you see like a modern horror movie like Saw or some shit like that, it is like, yeah, that doesn't even hold a candle. But back then, I felt that way with Watership Down, the anime, the cartoon. I was like, it really isn't that. But you know, I see back then it was. And then, so what's going on? It reminds me of the tale of Peter Rabbit. Okay. I watched the movie as a kid. So interesting to read the original book. The movie definitely traumatized a whole generation of kids. Yeah, right. Whose parents the movie left the room. Yeah. Yeah, it's too dark. Yeah, it's pretty bleak. I don't know. I kind of read. I thought it was pretty cool. Yo, Grandpa's it. Yeah. That's your. You know, this isn't your your grandma's Pokemon. You know, that. Could you imagine, like, if Pokemon was like Watership? Yeah, like, so different. I hear like, you know, there was also Digimon, and apparently there's like a video game of Digimon. It's like a graphic visual novel. And it's actually, I heard it's like very dark. It's like, you know, it's pretty violent, and it's like rated M for mature, and it's Digimon, which is so I guess they kind of went the Watership Down route. Exorcist is corny. Yeah. But you know, you just got to start somewhere. But apparently, like back then, it wasn't. Oh, I see. You mean Pokemon manga is weirdly dark and sometimes. Oh, okay. Well, you know, as you probably know, like you know, violence depicted in media, and particularly like animations in Japan, like they're a lot more lenient. Like they'll show a lot more graphic detail, or like in like kids stuff, like, which is kind of weird because they still have a lot of like censorship in Japan. But a lot of stuff is just not censored. Like they'll show like really violent shit in kids media, which is, and it's cool for them. So you would think like, oh, in Japan they let people do anything. It's like, no, actually no, Japan, they censor a lot of shit. So it's kind of weird, but yeah. So what you see something, then you might see some gore or some like violence in like manga or anime. You might say like, damn, this is for adult, but actually like that's still kids entertainment, because they're not as strict about that as we are in the United States of America, at least, which is weird because, you know, the United States of America is probably, you know, one of the most violent countries in the world. So, you know, just to show you that kind of like censorship really doesn't work, right, in terms of like taming violence or whatever. But yeah. Anyway, that was Watership Down. And I was gonna just tell you, like, give you a final book, which is why I already showed this book in a live stream before. But this was a very beloved childhood book of mine. It's actually a book of 3. It's a series, but this volume collects all 3 of them. Scary stories to tell in the dark. And the stories are kind of scary. You know, they're like Goosebumps level scary. But really what scares you, what's really captivating is the illustrations. That's the shit that's like, you look at them and you're like, well, this was for kids? I mean, these are for kids. I'm saying like, you know, 8-year-olds, 6-year-olds. That's when I saw it. I'm like, okay, like, let me just show you a few examples, which I loved. I remember looking at this shit and I was like, whoa. That's just it's really like the illustrations were just so scary as fuck. But they were scary in this, even like normal stuff. Like look at this horse. It's just disturbing, even though it's it's a horse. It's, the way it's drawn, like a lot of just the way stuff is drawn is just weird. Let me show you some. Of course, like one of the most famous ones is that scarecrow, which I can find. And, stuff like this. The babysitter, and look at the kid. He's just got this big ass head, and even the babysitter herself's kind of everything's just kind of oddly out of proportion. It's just kind of it's weird. It's kind of unsettling, And then the name of the story is Ah. You hate it? Oh, I love that. I loved it. As a kid, I ate this shit. I'm like, whoa, give me this. I love it. It just gets worse. More scary stories to tell in the dark. But you have to tell it in the dark. What the fuck? This is it's a beheaded. Somebody like pinned a head. I just keep going, but I'll show you my favorite one, and then we'll call it a day. Yeah, then it starts just getting abstract. Sorry, I just gotta keep showing you. Oh, Susanna. I mean, what the hell? Like, they're in the alternate dimension, and what the hell is even going on? It's scary. Like, look at this shit. Look at what the person is getting pulled by some weird ass, I don't know, globular thing. What is your favorite episodes? I could not get into Are You Afraid of the Dark? I liked. I think there was an Are You Afraid of the Dark episode where there was a pirate. He was black. I think the actor's name is Charles Dutton. He was also in Aliens Part 3. He was in a lot of stuff. I think that's my favorite one. That was a pretty good one. As he is a pirate. A kid goes on an adventure with a pirate, but it goes all wrong. Alright. And then I also like the one with I think they had an Afraid of the Dark with the sisters. Like Tia and Tamara Mori, I think they're with the twins, the black sister twins. That was a good one too. That was look. I mean, it just gets all abstract and more tales to chill your bone. I mean, that's just disturbing as fuck. Okay, and then we're about to call it. This is the most famous picture. Everybody who's ever read this knows this picture. Harold, Scarecrow. Everybody who's ever read these books knows they saw that picture. They're like, what the fuck? They're like, what the fuck? And I think they made a television show, a Netflix show. This is my favorite image. The dream. I mean, could you imagine? When you wake up in the middle of the night, you see that just staring at you. Could you imagine that shit? Could you imagine? I loved it. I was like, this is disturbing as fuck. All right, that's it. And it just gets abstract. It's like, huh? Twilight Zone style. The trouble. What's going on? Yeah, it's just really the illustrations that did it. The stories themselves aren't that scary, but when you hook them up with the illustrations, you're like, whoa, what the fuck? Some gremlin thingy. Anyway, what happened is like parents complained that the images were too disturbing, so they actually came out with an edition with more kid-friendly images. But then there was this backlash, this outcry. They were saying like, "Hey, man, we want the original images back." And so they came out. They re-released them again with the original images because fans, hardcore fans like me, was like, "Nah, man, we gotta get those images back." I think these stories came out in the '80s, so that is actually before my time. Yeah, 1981. That was before I was born. But I still, you still had these books in the school. And I'm sure they're still in several schools. Anyway, I think that's all the books. Of course, I had more books as a child that I loved. But that's all I'm going to show today or tonight. And if nobody has any other books they want to share, I think we're about to close. Conclude here. So these are the books that captivated me and kind of instilled my love for reading, and they were really fun to me, and I really appreciate them. Yeah, Winnie the Pooh. That's another. I forgot to pull it off the shelf. Yeah, I love Winnie the Pooh. That's another one. That's good. You brought that one up. I love Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh is awesome. Winnie the Pooh is actually like that's some like next level shit. I love like Winnie the Pooh, Tigger, Piglet, Eeyore. You gotta love Eeyore. Rabbit, the kangaroo, Ma with the kid kangaroo. I'm sure I'm missing Howler People or the owl. And of course, Christopher Robin. I hear like, Christopher Robin is based off of the author's son. And the author's son really, really did not appreciate his image being depicted in stories. So he actually kind of, I heard like he fought to like remove himself from the books. But that didn't happen. So unfortunately, like there's that. He actually did not like being involved because it's based off of him. And he was like, I don't like being depicted in these. Oh well. But there's a whole saying about some people say like, oh the story is actually about Winnie the Pooh is actually about Christopher Robin, who deals with all these mental health issues. And like each character is an embodiment of a mental health problem that he deals with. Like one represents OCD and one represents ADHD and another represents depression. And I'm pretty sure that's not actually the case. It's more about like friendship and accepting friends for who they are. Everybody has their innate qualities, and some are good and some are not good. But if you really care for somebody, you gotta like you'll take the good with the bad, as long as the bad doesn't like mess you. It's not damaging you. But it's like Eeyore was always they would say like, hello Eeyore, how's it going? It's going pretty bad. It's a nice day today. What's so good? What's so nice about it? What's so in his monotone like? What's so nice about it? And Pooh was like, well, whatever. I still want to hang out with you. And of course, Rabbit was all neurotic about his carrots. And then Piglet was always scared of everything. And then you had ticker who was always, hyperactive like all the damn time. Yeah. I should do a video on Winnie the Pooh. Anyway. Yeah, nice chatting with you. Hope everyone has a good week. And, we keep moving forward. Despite the current times and the current events, I'll still be here. I'll still be doing my thing, and I hope I'll be doing my thing for years to come, hopefully. And we keep rolling. So thanks for watching. You've been a pleasure to hang out with, and tune in next time for more philosophical thought. Let's see. Don't want to miss anything. How are you doing based off of the election results? Well, heck yeah, Nightman. Okay, see ya. We all from what our understanding was, most people thought it was going to be like a coin toss, like it was 50%. But apparently, it was a lot more decisive than what was projected in the polls, right? And it just tells you that's what America is. Am I shocked or surprised? Not really, to be completely honest with you. Is it sad? Yes. Is it disturbing? Yes. But one thing I can say is it kind of the results, the election results, kind of shows you the truth of America. And I hope more people from around the world, and maybe even Americans, although we're so delusional, I guess we'll just never get it. But maybe more people from around the world will kind of understand, yeah, we are not this great country. But maybe that was already a thing that most people from around the world already understood. And that's just us Americans assume we're great and everybody thinks we're great. It's no, we're our country is a mess. And and maybe this helps people understand that more. This is a really jacked up country, right? But it's always been that way. It's never not been a jacked up country. But sometimes people kind of get caught up in the mythology and kind of the fantasy of the American dream, which never really existed. It existed for a small few people. And I think a lot of what's going on is they're trying to bring that back. The American dream is only for this select few people. That's how it's always been. And now it's kind of opening up, and lots of people don't like that. They're just no, it's very exclusive. And so we're going back to those days. There's a huge drive of people that, look, the American dream is only for this select person. It's not for all these other people. It never was, even though they keep pushing this lie, but that's not. I think everybody really does know what's up, but people kind of are looking at it sideways, and they're looking at it through their own filter, and so they're kind of not seeing the issue, even though they kind of are. So I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, and we'll just keep rolling. I think for a live show, you should discuss about fascism. I could. I think so many other people are already doing that, but I guess, they can say, yeah, but I want to know your opinion. So maybe. I know fascism quite well and how it rises. Right. I think a lot of people know that already. I kind of wanted to do more of a video of how do we address the issue? Because I think everybody knows already how fascism rises and how it works. I think people are more interested is but how do we get out of fascism? What do we do to stop it? I would be more interested in doing a video about that. How could that many people vote for Trump? It's just so sad how efforts to educate are really hard to consider how many people voted for Trump. Well, it's just it's not an education issue. It's like it's like I mean, a lot of it is, look, people know, like, lots of people are like, look, when they're saying like, look, when Trump was president, my pockets were lined up. I was making good money. And then when Biden became president, I didn't, things were more expensive, or my money was not as good as it was. So I'm going to vote for the person where my money was good. Right? So it's a selfish thing. And lots of people will say like, look, I know he's an ass. I know Trump's an asshole. I know he's a selfish piece of shit. I don't care. I just want somebody who's able to like put me in a situation where my bank account is good, and that's what people want. Like, and so it's not, it's not really, it's not about like, I don't think it's not so much about like people oblivious. Like, we know we've already been under this guy for 4 years. Like, people understand that. Right? People are just selfish. People are selfish, and that's what it all comes down to. So, I would argue like now we understand. Like, people like me have already understood, but maybe people from around the world will get like, look, Americans are selfish assholes. Like, we're self-centered. We only think about ourselves. We're egotistical. We're narcissistic. That's the American culture. And if you think of it like that, of course they're going to vote for him because that's where people are at. So I mean, that's really the issue. So it's not an issue of like, oh, people don't understand how bad. Now, people are well aware of that. They're only invested in their own self-interest, which is sad. I mean, really, the work that activists and like Food Not Bombs people, what we need, because we're part of Food Not Bombs, me and Nadia, we got to make the case. It's like, look, life is not all about you. Like, it's important to think about other people. And when we help other people, we help ourselves. I mean, that's the case that we got to push. It's like, it's not all about your damn bank account. Like there are other things that are more important than your monetary situation. That's the case that we have to do. Because we live in a world where all people care about is their financial situation or their money, their back, and not even, of course money is important, but people are trying to buy like mansions and yachts and shit, and like they're trying to like buy Ferraris and like they're trying to live big because that's the culture we live in. Access, right? That's what people want, and they're like, hey, whoever's got us, we live in a dog-eat-dog society, and so if some people have to lose for me to gain, then so be it. And so I like to kind of push for a world where like that's not acceptable, right? Or like that's not something that should be valued as moral, which is today that's what we think like the more money you got, the more better you are, right? That's the world we live in. At least that's the country we live in America. And yeah, so I hope like people from around the world understand like, yeah, like the United States of America is we're problematic, right? And all countries are problematic, absolutely. But people have aspirations of like, yeah, one day I'm going to move to America because then I'm going to, it's going to be good and golden in America. Like that just doesn't. That's not a thing, right? Okay, so what's going on here? I hope nothing happens to your daughter. This issue of suburban white people holding to white suburban. Yeah, I hope nothing happens to her too. But honestly, like transphobia has been a thing. Before Trump, during Trump, after Trump. Of course, like Trump is, he has his platform where he makes that more acceptable. But it's like, uh, my daughter moved from the South. She lives in the North now, North, because she feels it's more safe. But that was under Biden. She did that, right? So I don't, to me it's like more. It's like, well, now it's out in the open. It's not like, I mean, I hope nothing happens to your daughter. Like, I wish more people were thinking like that when Biden was president. Like, I think wish people were more concerned about that. Now that, it's just sad. Like, well, now Trump's president. Now people are concerned about that. It's like as if that wasn't a thing during all presidents. I say, I don't know. I just feel like, I hope maybe people realize, like, no, this is just a thing that's always been happening, and of course, like now it's. It's being emboldened, but it's not like this was a danger that didn't exist, right? I don't know. But why do you people? Oh wait, I skipped some. Why do you think about Latinos who voted for Donald Trump? I think they're selfish. I think they're selfish, and I think they only care about their own self-interest, and I think like they got some weird ass fascination with like the American dream, but the American dream only works at the expense of the less fortunate. But it's not just Latinos; it's like everybody else that voted. Why do people only care about themselves? Can they not realize that capitalism is the problem? Nope. The reason why people only care about themselves is because that's what we teach people. Like, that's not what we program people. The dog eat dog mentality. The capitalism is good. There's winners and there's losers. Like I always say, this is the status quo. Right? All popular media pushes this idea from the day we're born. Like, it's good to only care about yourself. Like, how do we change culture? I thought it was education. It is. We just gotta be out. So now I'm going to be even louder, right? But I can't do it alone. But I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. So I think more people need to step up and be like, yeah, this is unacceptable. This is we need to care about other people. And there just needs to be more people out vocalizing this shit and demonstrating it and out in the streets and doing mutual aid work and community care work and not having aspirations of their 401k plans and all they're caring about is buying a house that's got 5 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms and people who actually we just need more of that, right? That's how you do. You kind of have to do by example, and you got to make the case for yourself. We just got to go out there and just show them, right? That's what I think. I hate that the United States is ruled by shallow, selfish, and stupid people. Yeah, I mean that's the reality of that. That's what it is. But I think it could change. We just, like I was saying, we got to step up. And we got to speak out, and we got to act. We got to act out. Is not pushing the case that the other things are more important than your bank account not a form of education? Yeah, it is. It is. But it's not. That's not going to happen through the education system. It's gonna happen through action. Right, which is that's education. That's certainly education, but not traditional, formal, conventional style education. It's radical. Very different kinds of ways of doing things that are not normal. Right? Education that's done in extremely different ways, right? That, I would say intellect and character are not seen as cool in American culture. It's not, it's not. Intellect and character is honestly not cool in most cultures. Honestly. I mean, just look at the state of. I mean, there are many countries that are going right. They're going right wing. Like, it's not just America, but America is so. We have so much social economic power. It's influenced with us. But most countries. But yeah, America certainly. So I guess I see what you're saying. It's like there's this idea that intellect and character are cool. Well, I mean, what kind of character, right? And what kind of intellect, right? Because somebody like, Jordan Peterson, for instance, he's like considered an intellectual who's got this character that everybody applauds and shit, right? But then when somebody else starts saying like stuff about like, oh, we should actually care about other people, that's considered like unintellectual. That's considered woke and all this crap, right? Like, there's these insults thrown out. Oh, you care about the people, that you're a socialist. Is like, huh? So I don't know. I think like intellectual character. I mean, these are just terms that we do. The definitions vary. I think the whole world is moving right. Well, a lot of the governments and the people in charge are moving right, but I also think there's a large segment of the world that's moving more left. They're swinging farther left, but they just don't have a lot of social economic power, right? But if enough people do that, right, then the tips can scale. The scale will tip, right? Right. Yeah. What separates people like us, Food.Bob's community, and people who voted for Trump? Why are they selfish? Oh, it's just, they have, it's like you haven't been radicalized yet. Right? You haven't been exposed to like mutual aid, right? That's every time we do actions of mutual, we just yesterday on Saturday we did a mutual aid feed, and we had a free food and drink in the park. And a lot of people looked at us like we were crazy. Because why? Because we're giving out free food. Like, what? You're giving out free food? What's wrong with you? It's like, and and it just takes time for some people. The concept is new, right? But it's exposure, I guess. It's exposure, and it's it's just not being exposed to that kind of action is the difference. So I would argue, like, if more and more people, kind of take a chance and be like, I'm going to do that. And you start seeing more people doing that kind of thing, then it becomes normalized, right? It's just not normalized, right? That kind of compassion, right? And kindness. They're not normalized. But if I think more people start prioritizing compassion and kindness, then people who voted for Trump be like, yeah, maybe I should change. Maybe I should change. But yeah, I just think it's about like more of us need to step up and don't let fear take us over and be like, no, I'm still gonna keep doing what I'm doing. And more people will be like, yeah, I think maybe I should change. That's what I think. Because you said it wasn't an education issue that people voted for Trump. Yeah, like, I mean, education is part of it for sure, but fundamentally it's a moral issue is what it is. Like, fundamentally it's a moral issue, right? It's it's a soul searching thing, right? That's what's going on. It feels a bit discouraging that we have been loud, yet very loud, and still so many people vote. Yeah, but it's not enough people. It's literally not enough people, and it sucks. It sucks that I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot, but there needs to be more, right? There needs to be more. And I know that's like hard to hear because it's like, shit, I'm already doing so much. You're saying I should do more? No, I'm not saying that. Just do what you can. But just the reality of the situation is like there needs to be more people out there being loud. It can't just be just us, right? It got to be more people out. And so how does that happen? Well, hopefully when you see the people out and loud, then more people will join you. Like we just got, we did the Food Not Bombs yesterday. We got 3 new members. 3 new members joined us. When the election results happened, we got a flood of emails of people like, can I join? Because they were not involved, right? They were not involved because, the Biden administration kind of got people comfortable. And they're like, well, I think it's okay because Biden is president. Now Trump is president. It's like, oh shit, I actually have to do something. So we got a lot of people trying to sign up. So yeah, it is education, but it's also like, people there's more people need to participate because there's a lot of people who are left leaning and they're just kind of standing on the sidelines, which is understandable. I don't blame them because it's hard. It's hard to to survive. We're just trying to pay our bills. We're trying to like stay afloat. So it's not easy, but hopefully more people will be like, oh shit, okay, I actually got to start doing something about this or we will be in trouble. So it's a moral issue. It's like people need to like come to Jesus or whatever you want to call it, come to Jesus mode, be like, okay, I need to step up. Like, Nadia, yourself, you decided not too long ago, like, oh, maybe I should join Food Not Bombs. Maybe I should do that. And you did. Right, there needs to be more of that happening, and that was like more of that was an internal thing that you did where it was like, okay, I need to act. So it's more like people need to like be moved to act, right? But of course, like education is a part of that. But I would argue like education is not like the number one, like that's gonna solve all the problem. No, because a lot of people know what's up. It's like they're just not. They're deciding to do things that aren't conducive to making the good change, right? So it's only so much we can do, right? It's only it's up to like the individuals to decide what they want to do, right? And that's the sad reality of it. One person we can't change the world. It's like, it's up to everybody, and so, let's see. Oh, totally. When I say education, I do not mean formal education, but what can we do other than participate in mutual aid in communities and speak loudly? Not much. I mean, you're doing the best you can. So it's really up to everybody else. Like, they have to make the decision. Are they going to change or not? And so a lot of it's just outside of our hands, to be completely frank with you. And I know that's hard to hear. Like, that's hard for people to accept. Like, there's only so much you can do, and hopefully people will come around, but they might not. And then we're all fucked. We're all fucked. But, at least we tried. At least we can go. And I know maybe you don't want to hear that, but that's the reality of the situation. Like, I'm cool. I'm cool with that reality as long as I'm doing what I can do. I'm cool with that. But there's only so much you can do, and there's only so much you can change. And then let's see. But I guess getting people to participate in education because you are educating people, that is important, and it is the way forward. Yeah, but I get that it is some sort of soul awakening if you are so deep in that you voted for Trump. Yeah, I mean, at a certain point, you gotta be like, because I've talked to people that have told me this. They're like, look, man, like I said before. Like guys for the most part, sometimes they're old white women, but it's mostly old white guys. And some of those people it's gone. Like you can't, unfortunately, like those people, you can't. But maybe some will come around. But it's not just them that feel like this. It's younger people too. They're hearing their OGs, their white grandpas. They're like, "Hey, man, we were doing good under Trump, so just vote for Trump." And at a certain point, they got to be like, "Okay, what's more important? Like this refugee that's like escaping like war-torn country because America is like." Setting up military bases in like all these Latin America countries and influencing their governments in these negative ways, which creates like, and that's what's giving me my big fat bank account. Like, so what's more important, right? They gotta have that coming to Jesus, and they might decide like, hey, you know what, my bank account is more important, and and that's it. That's it. That's all you can do. Like, there's no change in that. But maybe some people will be like, you know what? No, like I will not buy that 5-bedroom house. I'll buy a 3-bedroom house. I'll settle for less if it means that I can say, I don't have to be involved so heavily in like financing Israel's war against Gaza, or, that kind of shit. You got, people got to think like that. Like, when you come with some facts, like, hey, you pay taxes. Those taxes go directly to the bombing of children in Gaza, right? And so at that point, so you've said you've done all that you could do, right? It's up to them now. They gotta like think about, okay, is that something I want to be a part? And some people will be like, yeah, I think I will stop doing, or I will like be right for the. And then other people will be like, nah, I don't care. It just depends. I've seen it both ways. I will say I've seen more people go like, yeah, you're right. You're right. Let me kind of like, when you confront people dead on with the issue, from my experience, most people are like, yeah, maybe I should stop, and I should like, what are you doing? And then that's your gateway. But I have talked to some people who are like, nope, I don't care. Look, it's a dog eat dog world, and that's just how it is. And I'm like, all right, well, there's no, I bid you good day, sir. And those are the people that are destroying the world, and there's really nothing you can do about that. But yeah. Let's see. It's really nice that we always have new faces in Food Not Boss. Many are down with each other. Yeah. I guess I'm too eager for change to happen fast. Yeah, unfortunately, like, change doesn't happen fast. Right? It's sad to say. I recently, to share a little bit more about my life. There's a church. It's a Quaker church here where I live, and I joined the Quaker church. So I actually go to church now. I'm a Quaker, like Quaker oats, but they don't dress like Quaker oats, right? But Quakers, they celebrate. I mean, they worship in silence and that kind of thing. But Quakers, they were the first abolitionists in America, right? The white Quakers were some of the first abolitionists when slavery in America was legal, right? And they were involved with like setting up the Underground Railroad and like arguing for the end of slavery. And people looked at them like they were nuts, they're crazy, right? They were doing that during a time when a lot of those Quakers, like, they died never seeing slavery end, right? They were just working toward ending slavery, right? It took a long time for slavery to be illegal, at least. Not saying it doesn't exist, right? But the way that the way that it exists back during chattel slavery, like that's not a thing anymore. And it took a long ass time to change, right? Like, we're talking centuries, right? So change, like, it's slow. It's a slow ass process, unfortunately. Yeah, that's just something. And when you're really young, that's hard to come to terms with. As you get around my age, you start realizing, oh, okay, this is how it works. This is how it works. Like, social equity, like, that kind of change. Social justice is a slow ass process. It's always been slow. It's never been fast. So, that's just a cruel reality you have to come to terms with. I came across a quote that I like. Even if the world was to end tomorrow, I would still plant a tree today. I'm pretty sure that's like from an anarchist. That's like an anarchist type of way of thinking. Anarchists believe, that the philosophy of anarchism is you live the way you want the world to be, no matter what the state of the world is, right? And Food Not Bombs is an anarchist organization, right? Or an anarchist movement, rejection of all hierarchies. So that's cool. I think you should also make a live about luxury. We should examine its effects on our beliefs and values. Well, I mean, maybe. I think like that's a bit obvious, but maybe I'm being too giving people too much of the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it's not obvious or something. Like, what is the effect on our beliefs and values? Well, the effect is like you have people like Donald Trump as our president. That's the effect of luxury, right? But I guess people don't make that connection. But I think people are making that connection, and that's why they voted for him, because they're like, yeah, I want luxury. So again, like the question is like, well, what's more important, right? Luxury or like actually doing good by your common, the stranger, like. Which is, we could keep going, like, because a lot of these people go to church, right, and they believe in Jesus. And what would Jesus say about that? I mean, Jesus was a minimalist. He would say, like, give up all your possessions. Like, he'd say, give up all of your possessions. They're just getting in the way. Like, but these same people who like worship Jesus every day, they're like, no, that's the most important thing. Actually, these possessions are what make you good. They're what make you moral. It's like, how did we get from that to that? Selfishness is selfishness is what got you from there to there. I mean, I don't know. Self-interest, narcissism, egoism, right? Self-centeredness. But I could go on. Nadia, does Israel not have the right to defend itself? Yeah, I know, right? That kind of, which most people. They say that kind of stuff, but they're like, I don't know. Another thing but I still believe some people will lie to themselves so much that they start believing in the lie. It's funny because I'm replaying this video game I love called Final Fantasy VII, and they remade it, and that's. The story is about that. That's what Final Fantasy VII is about. It's about like lying to yourself so much you start believing in the lie, and the lie becomes your reality. I mean, that's literally what Final Fantasy VII is about. If I won't explain it anymore, just in case you ever want to play that game, because explaining that would be spoiler. But that's what it's about. So they know what's up. But yeah, that kind of like Israel not have the right to defend itself. It's like. Of course, you keep saying that over and over again, and then you start believing in the crap, right? Is what some people respond to me. Right. Do you think that ultimately we are slowly changing toward right direction? Yeah. The moral arc is slow, but is trends upward. I think Dr. King said that. I'll draw it. Let's see if I can grab my. Nope, I didn't grab it. There we go. I still got my Watership down. It's like this. And then of course it kind of goes down sometimes, then it goes up, then it goes down, then it goes up, then it goes down. You know, but it's going up, but it's slow, and then we get dips sometimes, and then sometimes we get large dips, but it goes back up. It's like that. But the trend line, you know, you know, the trend line is like the slope. It's like that, you know. So I mean, we might be here right now. but we'll return. Although indigenous folks will say they used to be way better off. Yeah, I know, right? They would definitely say that, right? Mm-hmm. So, regardless of flaws in art, that's still way better than how they were treated now. Yeah. Oh, what's your so maybe the slope starts at colonization. I mean, you know, who knows? I mean, I know, like, I mean, you know, Mayan culture, didn't they like sacrifice children and shit? Didn't they like rip people's hearts out, you know, while they were alive? And like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not saying, I'm not judging people's culture, but I would assume like it wasn't all hunky dory. I think maybe they had issues too. They had their stuff that they went through. I mean, and that's probably not all indigenous cultures, but I do. You look at some of those cultures in the past, and you're like, oh shit, that was actually some of that was kind of bad. But I don't know. But I was gonna ask, Nadia, what's your ethnicity? Is it? See, I'm I see so I've seen your picture on Facebook. I just assumed, like, when I first saw your image, I thought you were indigenous, just by the way you look. But I guess that was pretty naive of me, kind of naive of me. I thought you were like indigenous or something, but I guess not. But you're not white though. But you don't have to answer if you don't. Of course, that's too personal. Yeah, that's what I assumed. Like, oh, I thought you're indigenous the way you look. Which is why I thought that's why you were so interested in indigenous culture. Like, that's your people. But no, okay. Oh, okay. Okay, so you're not. You're a Trinidadian. Okay. That's funny. Nope, you're not. Okay, cool. White from Canada. In most white passing Puerto Rican you likely ever meet. Oh, okay. Cool. White passing Puerto Rican. Let me do that. Well, obviously, I'm all I know. Do I know much about my ancestors? So the thing is, like, some of my ancestors are Quakers, and because we did research, and some of my that's where I get my last name from, Trotter, Trottr is Irish, because my some of my ancestors were Irish Quakers, and they intermingled with my black side of the family, and that's where I get like my last name from. So it's just like I'm Irish, black. I believe I'm got some Islander in me, some like black Jamaican or something like that in me. I was talking to my student. Oh, okay, that's fine. That's what I know. Yeah, so I got some white in me, but most Black American, as you probably know, like most Black Americans have like white European, like white in them. Either a lot of blacks in intermingled with white Northerners, or there was a lot of like forced situations going on with black women and white slave owners, right? And so most black people, as you know, like are mixed. We're not pure black, right? But here in America, we got the one drop rule, where if you just look slightly black, you're black. You're just black. So that's what we got here in America. So, as y'all know, I'm Black American, African American. Oops. But I think we are about time to close up here, to log out. But it was a nice discussion. But yep, Black Ponderer is still going to keep Black pondering. Meanwhile, if you don't have enough indigenous blood, you're not indigenous. Yeah, it's like the opposite for indigenous people. I have indigenous buddies. I have a buddy who is Navajo. But, fortunately for her, she would say she looks very much like a Navajo. Like, you have that image in your head, you look at her, you're like, oh yeah, I could totally see that. So, and yeah, I got a few indigenous friends, so that's cool. How old are you? Oh, yep, do your thing. Please, yeah, I'm gonna keep Black Ponder, and I'm gonna still talk about books that are probably gonna be banned here, and more and more books are gonna be banned here in this country soon. But I'm gonna keep talking about them. Yeah, we're gonna keep learning, and more people are gonna watch the Black Ponder. And I always get messages all the time saying, "Well, thank you, I learned so much, and I never had the opportunity to read this book, but thanks to your video, I've read this book," and keeps on. That's still going to go on, and that's not going to stop. And, I'm here for the long haul, no matter what the state of the world is. So, yep, I'm gonna keep rolling on. But yeah, feel free to continue y'all discussions. But I think it's time for me to peace out. Until then, maybe next week, probably. See y'all next time with another live stream with another topic. And also, yeah, I recently... Oops. Oh. Sorry, my headphone disconnected. There you go. Good night. Yeah, so just a preview. I just finished reading this book, Immanuel Kant's Critique of Practical Reason, which is a very, very, very good book. I was kind of surprised how good it is. I think it's probably now one of my all-time favorite philosophical texts. It's extremely good. So I would make this is the next video. I was really surprised how good this book is, but we're gonna talk about it. That's my next video. Very good philosophical book. But until then, I'll see y'all later. Bye bye.